Hello, hello. I just pulled in the driveway. It is raining, so hopefully you can hear me over the rain or the rain is not annoying or distracting. I just knew that if I want to get this message across, which it feels like I really need to because the dreams the last 2 nights have been, I always have vivid dreams, but they've been strange and ramping up. And we have the Scorpio full moon tonight, also called the flower moon because spring and flowers blooming. It just feels really important to get this message across. So I've had a couple of dreams, and I won't go into detail on those. But the first one, it was like having this guardian type spirit around myself and other members of my spiritual team, humans who are very supportive and things like that I'm very, very close to. And we had these special guardians that other people, they didn't know how special they were. They didn't know what they were exactly. They were just drawn to them, and they were trying to attract these guardians. The guardians were in the form of like dogs. So people just thought, oh, these are special animals and we want to have them, and they'd try to lure them in. And I was having to go around and, please excuse my hair, it's been raining all day. I was having to go around and try to get these guardians back and not let these people know how special these guardians were, because then it might create more of a problem. That was the first dream. The second dream was somebody that I haven't seen or known for a very long time. Somebody that was like a first infatuation, love, whatever you want to call it for me. And they weren't the healthiest relationship. And they kept trying to come back into my life at various times and being very deceptive towards me and other people that they were involved with. And it was a very strange dream. Like, they kept intruding on like family gatherings and things like that and coming to me. And it was just, and they looked very intense and not like they were themselves, but at the same time, like their face was covered in these strange tattoos, not symbols or anything, but just like chaotic tattoos, and their eyes were wide and their body was just like not emaciated but very skinny, and this person does not look like that typically. And I told them, they needed to go back where they were, and I knew I had to go with them to make sure that they went back, and they did, but then here they are popping up again. And so when I was talking about this with one of my other spiritual people, and I'm kind of processing through it, and then also messaging another person, I've really been getting a lot of communication or feelings about just protecting your energy and being aware of watchers, like being aware of people that, even if you don't know, like they feel your energy, they feel your kindness, they know your empathy, they recognize that you're compassionate. And so right now, especially in this full moon energy and being in Scorpio, as a Scorpio, I know like we are the we represent death and rebirth, and there are so many times where we may reinvent ourselves, and there is a very intense energy to most of us as Scorpios, and we can be kind of secretive. We don't necessarily let everybody know everything about us. Like, even with my dreams, I just told you more than what I thought I was going to share, but I was hoping that it would maybe make sense, I guess. But I'm really getting like this sense of protection, and like I said, watching out for the watchers, whether they even know why they're watching you or not. They may not realize why they're watching you. And so when I was talking with one of my spiritual people, and teasing out different aspects of the dream, we talked about that aspect of like cutting the cord. And so I feel like that's important, like not even thinking about the fact that it's a full moon, and we talk about with the full moon kind of releasing things that do not serve you. And I hadn't thought of cutting a cord with this person because it's been so long since they've even been a part of my life. Like, I'm happily married. I'm in a really great relationship, the healthiest relationship I've ever been in. And so they haven't even been a thought in my mind. Whether I'm a thought in theirs, I don't know. That's not for me to worry about. But they haven't been a thought in my mind. And so with cord cutting, just keep in mind, like, a lot of the cord cutting I do, I've done like a cord cutting ritual or whatever you want to call it with the candles and the names on the candles and the twine. I use twine, you can use string, and watching them burn down. But I've also done energetic cord cuttings, and with that you can like visualize that scenario, or you can even visualize a cord between you and that person and imagine it being severed. If you are familiar with the archangels, or I've got my 7 archangels pendant. If you're familiar with the archangels, if that's an energy you enjoy working with, or whatever your divine is, you can ask that those energies assist and help cut the cord. Like Archangel Michael, the archangel of protection, you can envision him beside you and literally taking his sword and cutting that cord. So just keeping in mind that whatever it is that helps you, whether that's writing it down on the person's name on a piece of paper and tearing it up, or burning it. Be careful if you burn things, please. No fires getting started. Even if it's just that you say something out loud, or there's a prayer or something, whatever it is that you do, it's just really coming through that this is a good time to release old energy that you may not even realize is affecting you, but it is. Or people who maybe you haven't fully cut the cord or communication with them. You've just kind of left them sitting there because you feel like it's not really bothering you, but it may be time to consider, is it really necessary for me to do that? So I always encourage people to write things down, or you can even video, blog, vlog, journal, whatever you want to call it, and like talk things out or dictate something into your phone. Draw, take like bullet points. It doesn't have to be like a major thing, but it feels really important to say, to find some way to release that. And just know it doesn't have to be a specific thing. Sometimes we get in our heads and we feel like, oh, I was taught this, or when I look this up, this is what it says to do. I'm all about following your intuition, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone else, or doing things that would be dangerous, which is why I talked about the fire. Do what feels right. Like even today, I didn't even realize it's a little cooler because of the rain that we're having. But I wore black and red. I wore black tourmaline, garnet, and moonstone. My earrings are carnelian. I've got the shungite and fossil pendant on. So there's so many things where I didn't even realize that I was wearing very root chakra type things. The carnelian a little bit more sacral chakra. If that makes sense. I've been doing a lot of creative things and focusing on my passions and the things I want. So just remember, as you're releasing old energy connections that are no longer needed, you're wanting to bring in the things that do light a passion in you, or the things that you do enjoy. And so it's about that balance, finding that balance between the two. And I'm kind of talking fast because I know once I get into the house, all stuff breaks loose because the dogs are like, oh my God, you haven't been home all day. And then you gotta transition into the house, and there's all the night stuff or evening stuff that you have to do before you can settle down. So I'm trying to just quickly deliver this message. But yeah, it just felt very important to say, focus on that root chakra, that stability, that foundation, that grounding, the things that support you, the people that support you. Let go of the things that are not supportive of you, whether that's people, old energy, thoughts that you have about yourself or others, releasing any judgments that you may have, focusing on the things that you can control versus the things that you feel like you have no power or control over them. Understanding that release and letting go of things does not necessarily have to be a bad thing. We often relate that release to loss, and yes, there's a loss, and there may even be a grief. We can even have grief from things like loss of a job or a change of a situation. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical passing. But right now, it's really allowing yourself to let go of some of the attachments that aren't necessary. Because you are going to have attachments that are necessary. You are going to have attachments that are healthier. And you decide, you create those. Sometimes it's hard for us to have the resources because there are things that may be more difficult for us to have or to get depending on our life situation. But you do what you can with what you have, and you focus on what your goal is, and you move forward where you can. And letting go of some of these attachments is part of that. Like I said, you may not even know that you're attached to this person. But if we think about even the studies of where trees have this root system that can connect, energetically, we are connected to each other, especially if we shared some kind of a connection or relationship. And so that energy can remain. So yeah, I will definitely be doing an energetic cord cutting because this is an attachment that I didn't even realize existed, and it's no longer necessary. And so I'm going to also be doing what I talked about and thinking about other things like thought forms, or thoughts, things that I tell myself, negative self-talk that I may say to myself. I'm going to think about those things and work on releasing them, which I've been doing all along. But it's reminding yourself that you don't need the validation of others, whether it's people from the past and things that they've said or ways that you felt while you were around them. You can let go of that because that's the past. And if it is something that you feel like there's an aspect of truth to it, ask yourself if it's something that you can change, and say goodbye to that part of you that felt like you couldn't or felt like you had to live in a certain type of way. So yeah, that's the message. Woo, it was 12:22. 1222. So yeah, just that's important. So with this full moon energy, which lasts for days before and after the actual full moon, so don't feel worried if you see this after May 12th. Allow yourself to release, and even if it's not a full moon, totally okay for you to release things. I would rather that you let go of and release things that are making you feel worse, or that are holding you back, or that are making you just think that you're not worth it or whatever. I would rather you release them whenever than to feel like you have to go by some kind of a date. I'm only bringing up the fact that it is a Scorpio full moon because, like I said, as Scorpios, we tend to represent that death and rebirth cycle. People often say that the cards that they associate with us are the death card, the tower card, like not necessarily your prettiest images. And many of us have gone through some difficult things, but also that all of us have intuition, but just increasing that mindfulness, paying attention to things that maybe you didn't feel like you needed to, and just checking in with yourself. Is this something that needs to change? All right, I've talked longer than I meant to. It's already almost 14 minutes. And I know I've got to go in and take care of the dogs and transition into home life after the drive home from work. But yeah, ground, protect yourself, call in whatever it is that you feel is a protective thing or item, being, whatever for yourself, and allow yourself to let go of the crap that you don't need anymore. Take care.